Being an Arkansas native, it is not hard to know, or at least know of, most popular pieces of art in the state. Now that I attend school in Fayetteville, one of my favorite places to get away is the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. I am a sophomore undergraduate student majoring in psychology on a pre-medical track. I am also part of the Chi Omega sorority. There is constant hustle and bustle on the university's campus, which is why a getaway as intricate yet simple as Crystal Bridges is a great blessing. The museum is located in Bentonville, Arkansas, which is about half an hour from the University of Arkansas campus. Crystal Bridges houses world-renowned pieces of art from the Bachman-Wilson House to the Fly's Eye Dome and many more. However, to me, the architecture of the building is just as captivating as the exhibits themselves. Moshe Safdie, the building's architect, took 11 years to design the building, and during so perfected the grounds by combining breathtaking architecture with a natural, serene setting. Safdie is an internationally renowned architect who is based in Boston. His resume is nothing short of extraordinary. After graduating from McGill University in 1961, he went on to apprentice under successful architects and later returned to Montreal, where he began the project that would seal his international fame. The design of Habitat 67 began with Safdie's McGill University thesis. Still today, its impeccable design and construction has been inspiring architects around the world. The extravagance yet minimalism that is seen in the work of Safdie's youth, Habitat 67, can still be observed when analyzing the design plans of Crystal Bridges. Safdie now has offices in Boston, Toronto, Jerusalem, and Singapore, where his nature-centric architecture steals the attention of the public. In 2012 and 2013, the museum housed an exhibition that informed of how Safdie came to be the architect for Crystal Bridges. It illustrated his path to the museum by focusing on his aesthetic language of transcending light, powerful geometric form, and metaphoric imagery. Safdie is able to create construction that merges effortlessly with the site's historical and natural context. As far as his design of Crystal Bridges, the construction provides views of the calm surrounding forests while perfectly contrasting with powerful concrete walls. Architecture evokes a response by identification. A building gives off an emotion to the outsider. The angled, circular walls of Crystal Bridges produce a feeling of nicety, while the amount of land the ground fills up conveys power. It is easy to be intimidated by the vastness of the construction, however, the wall-to-wall windows are inviting. The criteria for a successful building lies not only in the outside appearance, but also in the functionality that the design provides. The architecture of Crystal Bridges emphasizes the interaction between art, architecture, and nature in a way that Safdie excels. Lying deep in the Ozarks rises concrete walls topped with copper that mirror the earth by which it stands. The curved roofs are a symbol of the hills that this region of the country is known for, and add an organic softness that mirrors the surrounding nature. Studying the construction, it is obvious to see that most lines are curved, which decreases the aggression of dark colors. Safdie incorporated two spring-fed ponds, which the series of pavilions nestle around. The water is so calm that it is close to impossible to feel anything but peace while observing the building. The complexity of the linking sections of the buildings is easy to overwhelm. However, the site is fortunate enough to be complemented by nature that softens the muscular walls of the building. The building is not entirely symmetrical, but with the complicated design, this does not seem to be of importance to the design. Another methodology to describe and analyze the architecture of Crystal Bridges is structuralism. When it comes to architecture, structuralism was a revolt against lifeless urban planning that led to the ignoring of inhabitants. Through structuralism, the relationship between the elements that can constitute the whole are more important than the elements themselves. Applying this to Crystal Bridges, the architecture of the museum was based on the need to experience nature and art at the same time. If it was not for the element of nature, Crystal Bridges would not be what it is today. The dominant texture and color of the concrete walls work with the peaceful cedar trees that surround the building. The relationship between the two elements make up the structuralism that defines what Crystal Bridges was built for. The social patterns and needs of the visitors were both invariant constituents that Safdie had in mind when designing the building. The multiple pathways and footbridges represent the careful consideration that Safdie had in order to connect the important elements of the museum. Another staple of structuralism in architecture is binary pairs. The design of Crystal Bridges can be seen representing this through the pairs of outside and inside, as well as nature and culture. After researching the architect and analyzing the design of the building, it is obvious that Crystal Bridges architecture belongs to the modern category. Embracing minimalism, modernism has been the dominant movement since the 20th century. This movement focuses on an analytical approach to the function of the architecture, an openness to structure, innovation, and the rejection of arbitrary decoration. Characteristics of this movement that can be seen in the architecture of Crystal Bridges are as follows: use of cubic and cylindrical shapes, use of reinforced concrete, metal and glass frameworks resulting in large windows, lack of ornament, and many more. Defining features of the museum are principal characteristics of modern architecture. For example, concrete foundation is paired with large glass walls. Although Moshe Safdie is known for criticizing the postmodern movement, it would be reasonable to infer that, while designing Crystal Bridges, he had the behaviors of the visitors in mind and other stylistic characteristics of postmodernism. After researching Safdie's past works, it is clear to see how he uses previous design ideas to inspire and formulate new ones. For example, one of his plans for a Holocaust museum in Jerusalem showcases a masterful use of light that creates a positive atmosphere. This is seen at Crystal Bridges as well. When asked where inspiration for his designs come from, Safdie said, "What really inspires me as an architect most is studying and understanding the causality of design in nature. Simplicity that makes up the modern look is observed by the curved lines, organized pavilions, and clean-cut glass walls. The relationship between the interior space and the site of which the building was built on is an important modern stylistic feature. Traditional materials such as red cedar concrete and copper, the way that these materials were used is impressive and well thought out. For example, the exterior elements such as red cedar banding and copper roofs were selected to age naturally over time. The cedar will turn silver gray as the copper acquires a rich brown color. 50,000 cubic yards of concrete, 185,000 pounds of copper, and 4 miles of red cedar were used in the making of Crystal Bridges." As much as I could talk up the architecture of Crystal Bridges, it will not be fully discovered until you, the observer, experiences it physically. Architectural space, especially in this case, is challenging to describe through words and even pictures. Space must be felt and experienced. The architecture is impeccable, but it is the way that it complements the surrounding nature that is impactful. Safdie created the perfect place for visitors to connect with the amazing artwork that the museum houses. The emotions that architecture evoke are just as important as the purpose, design, and layout of the building. Safdie designed Crystal Bridges in a way that brings together joy, peace, community, intellect, and many more. I must pay my respects to my happy place.